Hey everyone, it's me again, just your ordinary Potter girl, and in today's video I'm going to talk about my Owls Wrap Up. Okay, so this is a readathon that was created by Book Roast. I'm going to leave her video link down below if you want to check that out. But basically it's a month-long readathon and it focuses on the topic of Harry Potter. So it's kind of the theme of the ordinary wizards levels from Harry Potter, and it took place in April this year, but if you want to enter now, that's no problem. I was also kind of late to the game and started on April 19th and then just did 1 month, so until May 19th. So you could still join now and do that now. Okay, so in this readathon, you can pick a wizard career, and in order to get enough owls to do this career, you need to read books. There are various different ones with a variety of the number of books you need to read, so various different careers. And for example, there's a seer, I think, where you only have to read like 2 or 3 books, but there's also a career where you have to read like 11 or 12 different books. So for everybody there will be something fitting. And then you also need to take your owls in different subjects. So you can't just read books of a certain genre, but they have to fit to the required terms. For example, to be a Hogwarts professor, you need to have defense against the dark arts and the subject that you want to teach later on in Hogwarts. And in total for this career, so for Hogwarts professor, you would need 8 owls minimum that is required. And the different subjects kind of require different features in the book you need to have. For example, the book for defense against the dark arts needs to start with an R, or some book needs to have a red cover or sprayed edges, and all this different kind of requires. By the way, I have my Harry Potter pop and my Hermione pop there. I know these are not the 5th year's pop, but the 3rd year's ones, but I just think that little Harry with his Marauders map here, that kind of looks a bit like an exam paper, so I thought he was fitting. And I mean, Hermione, you kind of can't do anything wrong with her when it is about exams, so I just put them there. Okay, so as I said, you can start now with the readathon, or you could do it next month, or however you would like to. The only thing that you should keep in mind is that there will be a NEWT readathon. I think it's coming up in August, but I'm not 100% sure. And if you want to continue with that readathon when everybody else does as well, then you should have finished your owls before you NEWT, because you kind of build up on the results of your owls which careers you could take for your NEWT. Okay, so I personally went for a career of a Hogwarts professor for Transfiguration. And in total, I read 8 books. I did have a TBR and I tried to stick to it, so before I started, I looked up what books are required. For example, for Defense Against the Dark Arts, a book that starts with an R, or all that kind of stuff, but I kind of messed it all up and read the first 2 books from my TBR and then got overly excited about some new books that were released, and then I didn't stick to my TBR. But let's be real, I'm not great at sticking to TBRs, but who is really? Okay, so the first book I read for the owls was Simon vs. the Homo sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. It is also sometimes referred to as Love, Simon, because the movie is called Love, Simon. And I read this book for Transfiguration because the requirement was to have either a red cover or sprayed edges, and as you can see, this book has a red cover. Okay, so let's talk about the book. I did really enjoy this book, although before starting it I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did. But anyways, this is a coming-of-age story that follows 16-year-old Simon Spear in his story of kind of opening up who he really is to the people in his life. It is told both in Simon's point of view and also through emails, as you can see here. So it is told through Simon's perspective and also through the emails that he has with a person called Blue, and who Blue really is a mystery until the end of the book, so I won't spoil you for that one. Okay, so I really liked the way Simon was presented in this book, because although there were difficult situations for him, and he sometimes questioned some of his actions if they were correct, he never really questioned or doubted who he truly was, even if other people were making fun of him. And I really liked that kind of way he acted in that perspective. And I also like the way that his thoughts were expressed. It kind of seemed as a teenager would truly think and speak, because sometimes in books when adults write them, you kind of get that they kind of want to throw in a bit teen language to make it sound as if a teen would really say that. But in that one, it kind of was fitting, at least for me. And yeah, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed it. The next book I read was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the 20 years anniversary Ravenclaw edition. And I read this book for History of Magic, and the requirement was to read a book that was at least 10 years old. And as this is the 20 Years of Magic Anniversary Edition, these books are 20 years old now. So yeah, that fulfilled the requirement, and I thought it was kind of cool to read a Harry Potter book for a Harry Potter readathon. Okay, so in case you never read any Harry Potter book, which I think is unlikely, but you might just get started, then this story follows Harry Potter in his second year at Hogwarts School for Witchcraft and Wizardry. And in this year, the Chamber of Secrets is opened at Hogwarts. And we follow our protagonists, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, when they try to find the person that opened the Chamber of Secrets, because the last time the chamber was opened, there was a person killed. Okay, so as you might imagine, I love Harry Potter, and of course this was a great book. It was a reread for me, but it was the first time that I read the Ravenclaw edition, and I really enjoyed that. So within the story, there's not that much difference. So the actual story is completely the same, but at the beginning and the end there is bonus content. And also, I kind of like that, as you can see, this book here has sprayed edges. And it's kind of fun because at the beginning they all kind of stick together, and then every time you get to a new page you kind of can unstick them, and it was kind of rewarding every time you've read a page to unstick the next pages. That was kind of fun. As you might imagine, I of course gave this 5 out of 5 stars, as every Harry Potter book. I do love this, and I would really recommend picking up the Harry Potter series if you haven't already. The next book I read was The Red Squirrels of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. I read this book for arithmancy, or however you pronounce that, and the requirement was to read a book written by more than one author, and this is written by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. This is the first book in the Eldest Curses series, and it is, of course, within the Shadowhunter universe, so it's a Shadowhunters novel. If you want to hear more about that book, then check out my full. I will leave it linked down below, or just click the little link on the top right corner, and you will also get to that video. Now I'm just going to give you a quick summary of the book. This actually takes place within the Mortal Instruments series, so it's sometimes quite hard to follow in which time period we actually are. But it follows Magnus and Alec on their adventures across Europe, because they are on holiday there, and they visit cities like Paris or Venice, and when they are there, they try to find the origin of a demon cult that could become a danger for the whole world. Okay, so I really did enjoy this book, and if you liked other Cassandra Clare books, or in general the Shadowhunter books, then I think you will also enjoy that one. Just keep in mind that this is a lot shorter than the average Shadowhunter books, so the last books from her were like, I think Queen of Air and Darkness is nearly 1,000 pages, I think it's 900 and something, and this is like 300 and something, so it's a lot shorter, but it still was nice. And I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I actually read that book in ebook form. Because of that, I don't have it here, so I drew the cover, or I attempted to draw the cover. I know I don't have very good drawing skills, but yeah, that's all I have here, so we will just go with it. Okay, so The Night Circus is written by Erin Morgenstern, and I read this book for Care of Magical Creatures because the requirement was to have a land animal on the cover, and actually the cover has a small bird on it, and for me that counted as a land animal. I'm just going to tell you a bit of the plot of the story. Okay, so it says, the circus arrives without warning. No announcement preceded. It is simply there when yesterday it was not. within the black and white striped canvas tents. It is an utterly unique experience, full of breathtaking amazements. It is called Le Cirque du Rêve, and it is only open at night. But behind the scenes, a fierce competition is underway. A duel between two young magicians, Celia and Marco, who have been trained since childhood expressly for this purpose by their instructors. Okay, so if you are interested in a full review of this book, I am going to do a full review video which will be uploaded soon. I also have this book included in my May wrap up, so there I talk a bit more about it. I will also leave a link to that down below. But in general, I did enjoy this book. This story is kind of complex throughout the whole book. And yeah, it was very interesting to follow the characters, although it is kind of confusing sometimes because the story is so complex. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars just because, as I said, the story is complex throughout the whole book, but sadly the ending was not as complex and as fulfilling as I had hoped, but I still really enjoyed this book. Okay, so the next books that I read were actually 3 books from a trilogy, The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. I read these for one for Muggle Studies, where the requirement was a contemporary, one for Herbology, where you had to have a plant on the cover, and one for Potions, which was Next Ingredient, read a sequel. Okay, so this series follows Belly during the summers. She spends at a summer house together with her mother, her older brother, as well as her mother's best friend and her 2 sons. Okay, so I don't have too much to say about these books other than it was a light summer read, and for that it was okay. I did not love it, but it was a fair book. It was okay. Yeah, I did not like it as much as To All the Boys I've Loved Before. I prefer that trilogy. But all in all, it was a solid read, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Moving on to the last book I read for this readathon, which was Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. I read this book for Charms, where the requirement was age line, read an adult book. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a very quick summary. If you are interested in a bit more detailed review, then check out my May wrap-up video. This one is also included in that. But basically, this story follows American-born Chinese Rachel Chu when her boyfriend Nicholas Young invites her on a trip to his home country, Singapore. There she finds out that his family is one of the richest of the country, and let me tell you, they are not just rich, they are actually crazy rich. This book has different perspectives on this topic, so of course you follow Rachel Chu, but also one of her friends and other members of Nicholas' family. It is quite an easy read, but there's also a lot of information about the Singaporean culture included, so that was kind of nice. And all in all, I think I would give this book between 3 and 4 out of 5 stars, like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was enjoyable, and I will continue with the series, and I did like it, but it's just not like my favorite book of all time. So that concludes my Owls wrap up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below in the comments what other videos you would like to see. I will leave the videos I already talked about down below in the description box, so check them out if you would like to. Or if you're interested in other videos, I do a lot of bookish quizzes, especially Harry Potter ones, but also other fandoms. And I do book reviews, book hauls, all these bookish videos in general. So if you're interested in that, just check out my channel, and if you want to be notified when I post new videos, click the little bell icon or subscribe to my channel if you would like to. And thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys!